Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to learn a poetry. The title of the poetry is The Voice of the Rain, and this is penned by Walt Whitman, National Poet of America. Let's learn few details about the writer. Walt Whitman was National Poet of America. He was born on 31st May 1819. He died on 26th of March 1892. He's the one to give us free verse in the poetry. Other poets used to follow a rhymic scheme in their poetry, but he used to prefer free verse. It means there is no rhyme scheme, there is no meter in the poetry. It is conversational in manner. Therefore, he is extremely famous for this work as well. He was a journalist, a teacher, and a government clerk before becoming a full fledged poet. Walt Whitman's major poetry collection, Leaves of Grass, was first published in 1855 with his own money and became well known. Two of his well known poems are O Captain, My Captain. Students, I hope you have read this poetry, O Captain, My Captain, which he has offered to Abraham Lincoln. And When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed were written on the death of Abraham Lincoln, the President of America. His colleagues said about him that you cannot really understand America without Walt Whitman, without Leaves of Grass. This Leaves of Grass work was extremely important for America and for entire literature as well. The Voice of the Rain by Walt Whitman. And who art thou? Said I to the soft falling shower, which is strange to tell, give me an answer, as here translated. I am the poem of earth, said the voice of the rain. Eternal I rise, impalpable, out of the land and the bottomless sea, upward to heaven, whence, vaguely formed, altogether changed and yet the same, I descend to lave the draughts, atomies, dust layers of the globe, and all that in them without me were seeds only, latent, unborn, and for ever by day and night I give back life to my own origin, and make pure and beautify it. For songs issuing from its birthplace after fulfillment, wandering, wrecked or unwrecked, duly with love returns. When I read the poetry, you must have noticed that there is no rhyme scheme in the poetry. Therefore, we can call it that it is written in blank verse. What happens in blank verse? Let me tell you. Blank verse or free verse is an open form of poetry which in its modern form arose through the French verse libre form or free verse form. It does not use consistent meter patterns, rhymes, or any musical pattern. It thus tends to follow the rhyme of natural speech. Here, friends, the poem is written in such a manner it seems that the poet is conversing with another person. Okay, this kind of form is called free verse. Let's move towards the poetry. The Voice of the Rain is a short free verse poem by American poet Walt Whitman, originally published in a periodical called Outing in 1885. It was later reprinted in Leaves of Grass, Whitman's most celebrated collection of verse. In The Voice of the Rain, the speaker listens to the personified figure of the rain liken itself to poetry, describing each stage of the water cycle, The poem pays homage to the restorative power of the natural world and claims that poetry nourishes humanity just as rain nourishes the earth. Here, in Walt Whitman's The Voice of the Rain, the personified figure of the rain compares itself to poetry in describing its own cyclical nature. The rain also illuminates the essential characteristics of poetry. The rain thereby functions as an extended metaphor for poetry itself, asserting that poetry not only shares a rain like life cycle, but is also vital and nourishing for the world. Here, students, extended metaphor means when a thing is compared and compared throughout the poetry with something. Here, it is not only limited to one thing, okay, like it is not only compared to the poetry, but other characteristics are also compared, like healing, relieving, relaxing nature of the poetry is found in rain as well. Therefore, it is extended metaphor. All right. You can have a look at the difficult words and their meanings, which will be helpful in understanding the poetry. When we look at the theme of the poetry, we find the nourishing nature of the poetry is the main theme of the poem. Students, let's start with the line-wise explanation of the poetry. Let's begin with the title. Here in the title itself, we find literary device personification. Okay, personification, and I hope you all know what is it. It means giving human quality to an inanimate object, and here rain is the one of the entity of nature which is inanimate, all right, and here it is being given voice, therefore it is personification. Let's move ahead. And who art thou, said I to the soft falling shower. Students, here we find another literary device, that is apostrophe. Apostrophe, okay, which means referring somebody who is absent in the poetry. Okay, here we find rain is absent, but through the poet we get to understand what was the conversation they had. So here rain is absent. Okay, therefore this reference to absent object or person is called apostrophe, and here we find the same literary device. Let's move ahead. Students, here we find conversation between Walt Whitman and rain. Here one question is posed to Rainfall by the poet. He asked, "Who are you?" The poet is very inquisitive about the identity of rain. Now here readers, and we don't know what was the conversation they had. Okay, what was the conversation that happened between the rain and the poet. So here through poet we are understanding what was the reply of rain. All right, so when he asked question he was surprised because he got the answer from inanimate object. Okay, now what was the answer of rain? Let us find out. Which strange to tell. Okay, strange because it is inanimate object and it replies to the poet. All right, to tell gave me an answer as here translated. He had never expected in life. Remember students, literature gives wings to a fish and fins to birds to swim. Okay, so here it means literature can make anything possible through imagination, and here the poet is imagining that he is conversing with the rain. I am the poem of earth, said the voice of the rain. Eternal I rise, impalpable, out of the land and the bottomless sea. Here Rain compares itself to a poem because, just like poem, it gives joy to the people who are on earth. And just like poetry, it covers its cycle. It is originated, then it goes towards the world, okay, so that they can hear it, and then after giving relaxation, after giving relief to the people, it returns back to its origin. Okay, this is the cycle which it covers, just like the poetry. Therefore, it is compared with the poetry. The rainfall is eternal, and the poetry as well. It remains ages after ages if it is liked by the people. And same goes with rain as well. Just like poetry, it has capability to relax the mind of the people, give soothing effect to people, and therefore comparison is made. Now it says, eternal I rise, eternal I rise, eternal because this is continuous process. Okay, since its origin, we don't know when rain originated, but since then it is continued till now. Our forefathers had seen rainfall, they have experienced rainfall, and now we are also doing that, and upcoming generation will keep on doing that. Therefore, it is never ending. Okay, it is continuous process, and therefore rain says, eternal I rise. Here, rise means in the form of evaporation, in the form of evaporation it moves towards the sky. Okay, it moves towards the sky, impalpable, out of the land and bottomless sea, impalpable, which cannot be touched. See, when evaporation takes place, we don't notice it, it is not visible to us. Okay, so when it is not visible, then we cannot touch it as well, right? Therefore, when evaporation takes place, the water body, uh, it turns into vapor and moves towards the sky. It moves towards the sky. Okay, from the land and the bottomless sea. Land, marshy land. Okay, waterlogged lands. From here, evaporation takes place, and from bottomless sea as well. All right. Here we find another device, that is hyperbole, because it is exaggerated. Okay, there is bottom, there is end point of sea, but it shows that the depth is compared by using the word bottomless. Therefore, here we find exaggeration or hyperbole. You can pronounce it as hyperbole as well. Okay, so the rainfall rainfall's first stage, that is evaporation, takes place from land and bottomless sea. Upward to heaven, rises upward to heaven, whence vaguely formed, altogether changed, and yet the same. Students, you need to understand out here that when it moves towards heaven or towards sky, okay, it is formed vaguely because it changes its shape. All right, vaguely formed because the shape is not definite. Okay, the shape of the cloud is not definite. We know that after evaporation it takes the form of cloud, and it is not same. Okay, it changes its shape from one to another. Therefore, it is altogether changed. Okay, from unseen vapors. Okay, from unseen vapors to clouds, which is visible. Yes or no? Clouds are visible but not the vapors. Therefore, from unseen to seen. Alright. It is changed from unseen to seen. That is from vapor to cloud, but yet the same. Yet the same. Why it is same? Because tiny drops of water, okay, tiny drops of water which is present in vapor is present in cloud as well. Yes or no? tiny drops of water which are present in vapor are present in cloud as well. Therefore, it is altogether changed. Okay, its external look is altogether changed, but inside the core it is same because the content is same. All right, I hope it is clear. I descend to leave the draughts, atomies, dust layers of the globe. Here I descend. Rain descends. Rain comes down on earth to leave the draughts, to bath the dry lands. Okay, dry lands where the water is not received. Those lands are laved by the rain. Atomies, dust layers of the globe. Now it settles all the atomies, all the tiny particles, all the dust layers of the globe, or you can say all the impurities, all the impurities of the globe. It is settled by the rain. Okay, and all that in them without me. All that means all the seeds in them, in them means inside the earth bed without me were mere seeds. The seeds, okay, which are sown inside the bed of the earth will remain unborn, okay, and latent. Latent means to remain hidden or buried. Okay, so without water, all the seeds are going to remain hidden inside the bed of the earth and it will never grow. Okay, so this is another utility of rain. It gives life to all the seeds which are sown inside the earth. And forever by day and night. Day and night shows continuity. Okay, continuity. I give back life to my own origin. Now we have discussed that the rain is originated from land and sea. Okay, or you can say all the water bodies. Now land and sea, these are on earth. So when it comes down, okay, after continuous process of evaporation, condensation and precipitation, okay, when it comes down to earth, it gives back life to its own origin. Okay, it gives life to earth. So from earth the rain is originated and finally it comes back to itself and it beautifies it and gives life to all the flora and fauna which are residing on the earth and make pure and beautify it. Obviously, without greenery, without life, the earth is going to be a barren land. Therefore, with the help of rain, life will be regenerated on earth. So here we find greenery and all the lives on the earth which beautifies it. So this is the task of rainfall. Here it says its origin, its life cycle and its utility or function as well. Therefore, we find there is close comparison between poetry and rain. Poetry is also created in order to give soothing effect, in order to give enjoyment to the readers or the listeners. Okay, here you need to understand that poetry, music, song, all these are same. Okay, so these are compared with rain because both of them, they have a journey, they have a life cycle. Poetry is created from the heart of the poet. Okay, it goes towards the people for listening. In this process they enjoy, they get relaxed by listening to it, and eventually the love will be returned to the writer. The writer will understand that whether his piece of work is enjoyed by the people or not. Okay, in the same way we find the rainfall is originated, then it takes a tour to entire heaven, and again it comes down and beautifies the earth. When it beautifies, we understand that earth receives it wholeheartedly. Okay. For song issuing from its birthplace after fulfillment, wandering, wrecked or unwrecked, duly with love returns. Now, here you must have noticed that these two lines are inside the bracket. Now, why is it so? It is so because these are not the words of the rain. Okay, these two lines are the words of, these are words of the poet. Okay, words of the poet. Therefore it is inside the bracket. This is not the dialogue of the rain. Now what it says here, let us see. For song issuing from its birthplace, here I told you that song is created, okay, by the creator, which means poet, writer, etc. After fulfillment, wanders, wrecked or unwrecked, duly with love returns. Here, once a poet creates something, it goes towards the people, and whether they enjoy or not, both will be understood by the writer. Let's have a look at the literary devices. At first, we find personification, which I have already discussed. Next is metaphor. It is an indirect comparison between the quality find. The rain is compared with the poem. Okay. Next is hyperbole or hyperbole, that is exaggerated statement, and it is seen in bottomless sea. Last is imagery, visual description of something, and here the word soft falling shower visualize the raindrops. Students, by this we have completed the poetry. I hope you have understood the poem. If there is any query, just let me know. You can drop message in WhatsApp number or you can comment here as well. We will meet in our next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.